physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Graham Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon Fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. Ain't nowhere near the East Wing. Not today. I'm right here with you in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or if you're feeling fancy, just tell Alexa, just whisper to Alexa, just Alexa, play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you get to see the best of what we curate for you each and every day. Listen, speaking of curating the best for you each and every day, celebrate the soul of the holidays in support of Altadena and Pasadena fire survivors. We have not forgotten about the survivors of the Eden Fire, and neither should you. Especially this holiday season. Make no mistake about it, this is their first holiday season, not in their homes. Many of them still displaced, many of them still the very beginning stages of their road to recovery. And so the least we can do is get together and provide them with a little bit of respite. The least we can do is come together in community to remind the Altadena and Pasadena fire survivors that they don't have to walk alone. And so Monday, December 15th, join us at 7 p.m. at the Graham Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace for Soul of the Holidays. It's a joyful night of Motor City Soul Gospel and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, a community choir. We ain't messing around. All of this in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This is powered by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund. And so run, don't walk to join us in support of the Eden Fire survivors. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide. I'll describe. You decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, Representative Maxine Waters, Auntie Maxine, she is slamming a reckless Trump cut to the HUD program combating homelessness. We know that right here in the city of Los Angeles and in too many cities across the country, big cities, small cities, medium-sized cities. We know that challenges around supporting the homeless, addressing some of the root causes of homelessness persist. U.S. Representative Maxine Waters knows this very well. That's why she's leading a Democratic Party outcry against the Trump administration's major cuts to a decades-old program funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development that works to reduce homelessness in the United States. The longtime Congresswoman and ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee, she joined dozens of Democratic members of Congress slamming HUD's more than 50% cut to permanent housing funding for the agency's Continuum of Care program. The GRIO is reporting that established under President George W. Bush, the program provided funding for comprehensive and community-wide approaches to addressing and ending homelessness, including local support to rehouse individuals and families, promoting self-sufficiency, improving access to services. And on November 13th, you know what HUD did? HUD announced that it would reduce its COC funding for permanent supportive housing programs from 86% of funds to 30%. In a letter to HUD Secretary Scott Turner, who's Black, I think that's worth noting, in this letter led by Representative Waters, House Democrats warned that slashing of the funds would create funding gaps and would worsen the homelessness crisis in America, which, if you didn't know, you should know, it disproportionately impacts Black and brown Americans. Black Americans make up about 32% of the more than 771,000 people experiencing homelessness, despite making up only 13% of the population. So we know this is going to disproportionately impact Black folks. We know that the HUD secretary himself is Black. And we know that Representative Maxine Waters and other Democratic leaders, other folks that are part of the Congressional Black Caucus, see this problem coming to a head, and they're doing everything they can to sound the alarm. And so when folks are asking, who's fighting for us? Who's fighting for us? Who's standing up for us? Cue Representative Maxine Waters. This is what the fight looks like coming from Maxine Waters. And so we'll continue to keep our eye on it and govern ourselves accordingly. In other news, the GRIO is also reporting that Campbell's employee has been fired after exposing executive who said the product is for poor people. That's what this suit alleges. The GRIO reporting that a former Campbell's Soup employee says that he was pushed out of the company after trying to blow the whistle on what he describes as blatant misconduct by high-ranking executives in a lawsuit filed Thursday, just last Thursday, November 20th, in Wayne County, Michigan. Circuit Court, Robert Garza, he accuses the Campbell Soup Company Vice President and Chief Information Officer Martin Bally and Supervisor J.D. Apparelli of fostering and retaliating to protect a racially hostile work environment. Garza claims he witnessed racist remarks, he heard an admission of drug use on the job, and faced swift punishment when he attempted to report it. Garza began working remotely as a security analyst for Campbell's Camden, New Jersey headquarters in September 2024. And according to the lawsuit, he recorded Bally during a meeting he initially believed would be about his salary. Instead, he alleges he sat through a shocking hour-long tirade at a restaurant, remarks he later described as disgusting. In the recording, Bally is heard belittling Campbell's products, taking aim at Indian employees. At one point, he allegedly said that the company produces, quote, highly processed food for poor people, adding who buys our SHI, you know what I mean? It's not healthy now that I know what the F is in it. He said he also disparaged Indian colleagues, saying effing Indians don't know an effing thing. They couldn't think for their effing selves, according to this lawsuit. And Garza, who alleges that Bally boasted about showing up for work high off of marijuana edibles. Who knew all this was happening at the Campbell Soup? I mean, look, if you are a decent cook, chances are you have a Campbell's cream of mushroom somewhere in your cupboard, just in case. Just saying. And it's hard to look at that Campbell Soup label and not think about some of these things. And so, again, this is a lawsuit. These are allegations that are being made. Nobody's been convicted in a court of law, but these are deeply troubling allegations nonetheless. In brighter news, remember when we had Isaac Hayes III on the show a few weeks ago? He is the founder of the social media platform Fanbase. Well, Fanbase is getting into the micro drama business. As micro dramas rapidly take off in the U.S., there are 3 entrepreneurs leading the multicultural charge to bring them to the social media platform Fanbase. And that includes Fanbase CEO Isaac Hayes III, along with Ty Walker and Keisha Perry Walker at Braveheart Entertainment and Wild Peach Studios. They announced an exclusive partnership to create and distribute micro dramas on the app starting in 2026. Ty Walker, the executive producer, said that the partnership with Fanbase lets us introduce a new kind of storytelling that delivers maximum emotion in minimal time. He says, we're excited to push the creative boundaries and spotlight compelling voices in the evolving space. And so who knew? Who knew that the micro drama genre was growing so fast? Isaac Hayes III says that Fanbase already supports short-form video, robust creator tools, and subscriptions, which are key components of this format. Development is already underway inside the app, and we're excited to partner with Ty and Keisha at Braveheart and Wild Peach. And so, look, I love lifting up and highlighting some of the innovation that is afoot in our country and across industries. And this is just the latest example. And so go Isaac Hayes III, go. And if you haven't already, you may want to download the Fanbase app, check that out. Because what I hear in this story is more, not less opportunity. That's what I hear. When we come forward, more right here on A More Perfect Union, you are listening to and streaming it. And we are loving you, and we hope you're loving it. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
With Target, gifting has never been easier. This Saturday and Sunday, Target gift cards are 10% off with Target Circle. Treat everyone on your list to something you know they'll love. Gift cards for the trendsetters, the techies, the fashionistas, the foodies, and even yourself. The perfect time to save is now. This deal is a yearly fave, so hurry. Get more gifting for your buck and save 10% on Target gift cards with Target Circle for 2 days only. Only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 remembers Robin Ayers on the 1-year anniversary of her passing. 1 year ago this week, we lost a remarkable and vibrant voice. Robin Ayers touched countless lives through her passion, her love, her service, and her smile, which you could see through the radio. KBLA Talk 1580 honors her memory and celebrates the legacy she left behind. Robin, your spirit lives on in every conversation, in every connection, and in every one of us, inspired by your voice. Gone, but never forgotten. KBLA Talk 1580, where voices matter.
I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
Listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome my sister friend here, Dr. Ajwa B. Asamoah. She is one of the geniuses. She is the genius behind the Crown Act. She is a champion of the Crown Act. If you've been paying attention to the big news coming out of Pennsylvania today, CBS News reporting that Governor Shapiro has signed the Crown Act into law in Pennsylvania inside a West Philadelphia hair salon. He signed the law solidifying protections against hair discrimination in the state. Let this be a reminder that even in what feels like the worst of times, even what feels like an abdication of allyship, an abdication of duty, when it comes to advancing racial justice on the parts of so many people in positions of power, influence, and authority, let us be reminded today of what is possible even in a time such as this. Dr. Ajwa, welcome to the show and congratulations on your latest feat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blackstar. It is a pleasure to join you, especially to talk about something that is so near and dear to my heart. As you've shared, I am known as the Crown Act champion and scholar. This public policy movement is my brainchild and a movement that I have led consistently since 2018, and so grateful for the community of support. The members in Pennsylvania have been ideal partners, and as you've shared, today it became law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in the city where I've spent so much time living and growing, and not too far from my alma mater, Temple University, which you may know is the first in the world to create a terminal degree in the discipline of Africana studies. And so I always like to lift that because so much of who I am is because of my time there studying ourselves and, just really making sure other people realize that it is okay to center Africanness. And so today was sort of a culmination of all that I am, especially as a result of having spent that time in Philadelphia.
Talk to us a little bit about your origin story related to the Crown Act. You are a champion of it. Your scholarship around it abounds. Talk to us about how this all first started, because it's not easy to build a movement around anything, especially a policy framework. We've seen state after state after state folks sort of get behind this cause of eliminating hair discrimination, which impacts Black women and men. I would say men and women of color at large. Talk to us about the origin story of how this started for you.
Happy to. I was at Essence Festival in 2018, and I met 3 Black women who were talking about the issue. This long-standing and problematic practice of racial discrimination in the form of hair discrimination. This issue is, as I've shared, long-standing in that it predates all of us alive. It has dated back to our arrival here on this landmass, at least in its most recent, our most recent, I will say, arrival here. Of course, they came before Columbus and all of the things that I'm sure your listeners know, but they've even made laws that made it illegal for our hair to be viewed, seen, such that in Louisiana, they determined that it was so unsightly. They called it fur, they called our hair wool, that they demanded, including codifying it, that it must be covered. And so this is a problem that we in our community know has existed for centuries. However, there had been no legislative fix. And so when I met these other 3 Black women at Essence Festival, we had an in-depth conversation about the problem. And I determined that it was a civil rights issue and that it is one that requires a legislative fix. And so I talk about the Crown Act in the context of 2 parts. It's about changing the culture around natural hair and protective styles, but obviously it's about changing the law. One does not necessarily lead to the other, and so both are important, but of course it's the legislative movement that has garnered so much attention. You would be proud to know that while I developed the legislative on a national level, legislative, social impact, and coalition building strategies for the movement, and I've led the work to outlaw race-based hair discrimination, it is another West African sister, Orlina Wanka Blanchard, who developed the marketing strategy for this movement. And so as I think about what it means, to be a daughter of Africa, where, in ancient, African society, you can tell so much about somebody from their hair, their status in terms of, marital status, wealth, health, and so many other things, what ethnic groups they belong to. And so I challenge this notion of, I am not my hair. I am my hair, at least for me. And it means so many different things to different people. For some people, it's an accessory. They change it on a regular basis. For others, it's a political statement. For some, it's a source of racial pride. And for other people, it's a culmination of all of that. What I am working to do is to protect and preserve our right to rock our crowns however we see fit. And for me, I embrace the full versatility of my hair. So I'll have a naturally, curly do today. I've rocked Senegalese twists. I've rocked an afro, braids, knotless braids, a blowout, twist out, whatever I want to do. But it is extending that statutory protection to our hair that I am committed to ensuring becomes the law of the land.
Was there ever a time during the first Trump administration, or even during this Trump administration, where you thought the Crown Act might become a focal point for the conservative movement? We know that all things anti-DEI have been supercharged by this administration and supporters of it. Is that something that keeps you up late at night?
Not specifically around the Crown Act, and that is in part because in developing the language, I work with some really smart attorneys. I am not one, although I am a policymaker and an architect. I work with some smart attorneys, and the language is sound, and it can withstand any judicial scrutiny. There are people who are hell-bent on turning back the hands of time, as you know, wearing a completely different hat, or dare I say crown. I drafted the racial equity framework for this country and served as the only woman senior advisor for racial equity in particular. That title, I'm the only woman in the government, federal government, to ever have had that title. and served as such to Marcia L. Fudge, Madam Secretary Marcia L. Fudge, who, it should be known, when she was the chair of the CBC, wrote a letter to the then Secretary of Defense calling out inherent racial and gender bias in some of the rules that were in the armed services. So I'm sure you have to take a break, but just wanted to always lift her name, because as we talk about origin stories, I always like to lift those who have actually done the work and deserve the credit. And Secretary Fudge, Madam President, to me, is someone who has been a supporter and champion of this movement and this work, and has advised me along the way, as has so many others, including former Cedric Richmond, my original sponsor in the House, and Senator Cory Booker, my original and still sponsor in the Senate.
When we come forward more with Dr. Ajua B. Asamoah, the Crown Act champion, this is a momentous day. And it's a day that I think we should savor.
That's
because
right.
in moments like this, we don't always have the opportunity to celebrate. There's a lot of folks who have been busy resisting, a lot of folks who have been busy challenging this administration and the aspirations of the MAGA movement. Governor Josh Shapiro deserves some credit today, as does the coalition that helped make today possible, where now the Crown Act is the law of the land in Pennsylvania, of all places.
Absolutely. Shout out to Senator Vincent Hughes and Representative Mays, and someone I'm excited to call Madam Speaker, Representative Joanna McClinton. I could not have chosen, even if I wanted to, better partners. They simply don't exist. So collectively, we are demonstrating a new way to make policy, and that is with the community working with lawmakers to develop something that makes sense for the community.
More with Dr. Ajua B. Asamoah when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Justice Department is weighing whether to re-indict James Comey and Black New York Attorney General Letitia James after a judge dismissed their cases. Comey was charged with lying to Congress and James with mortgage fraud on a property in Norfolk, Virginia. The Department of Justice may not appeal but could bring new indictments. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is backing a preemptive pardon for Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar, who was indicted last year on bribery and money laundering charges. Jeffries says the case was weak and that Cuellar likely would not have been convicted. Jeffries admitted he does not know why Trump made the decision, but said he believes the outcome was the right one. And the NAACP says Union County schools in North Carolina are failing to meet decade-old diversity goals, citing underfunded and underperforming schools. But district leaders argue their initiatives and outreach efforts show ongoing commitment to diversity. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's a lot more drama to Chris Paul's departure from the Clippers, and it's a shame it got to this point. Paul was essentially cut from the Clippers late Tuesday night because management had grown tired of Paul's criticism of his teammates' tie-loose coaching style and the failure of management to bring in better players. Paul is right on target with his opinions of Clippers players and management. As a 21-year NBA veteran and future Hall of Famer, Paul knows when players and management are not performing like they should. The Clippers are next to last in the Western Conference at 5-16. They are 2-14 since November 3rd. Sources claim Paul and Lou were not on speaking terms the last few weeks. The Clippers are basically a mess. Team owner Steve Ballmer needs to step in and do something about this. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to ticketsatthewallace.org. That's ticketsatthewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and that champion over there and all that red, that's Dr. Ajua B. Asamoah. She is the Crown Act champion. What a day. Just to put it into context, according to the governor of Pennsylvania in 2022, more than 900 complaints of racial discrimination based on hair were made to the Pennsylvania Human Rights Commission. Now, after a coalition of folks have come together, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro made history today by signing the Crown Act into law in Pennsylvania, Dr. Adjoa, talk to us about the significance of this happening in Pennsylvania. We know every 4 years during the presidential election cycle, you have Democrats and Republicans that are breaking their neck to get to every part of Pennsylvania to convince Pennsylvania voters to side with them. Does this mean that the Crown Act is no longer a blue issue or an issue that should engender the lack of support from the right? But, is this more of a purple issue now, being that it was signed into law in Pennsylvania?
I won't call it necessarily a purple issue. You've said a couple things that I think are worth noting that really resonate. The significance of Pennsylvania, arguably, depending on who you ask, is the most, Pennsylvania is the most important. I mean, I hate to say that as an operative because obviously every vote matters and all states matter, but it goes without saying that there are swing states that we all acknowledge, and that most folks, I would argue, probably can't name the last time that a president won without carrying the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And at least on the Democratic side, it is very difficult to do without running up the margins in Philadelphia and, of course, Harrisburg. So it could be said that Philadelphia, it will just say critically important as it relates to the national political landscape. You talked about it being a purple state. I think that's right. Pennsylvania is huge in terms of land mass. Most folk who I know go to Philadelphia or Harrisburg or Pittsburgh, and that's it. But in between that, there's a lot of land. A lot of it MAGA land, candidly. And it feels like Texas. Alabama is what we call it in Pennsylvania. And so to have something like this pass, picking up on your point before we went to break about the current landscape where we see so much capitulation as it relates to, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and, the folks who are hell-bent on turning back the hands of time and pretending that, merit is somehow the opposite of racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, when the complete opposite is the truth. The way you get to a merit-based system is by being intentional about a diversity, equity, and inclusion. But you have some folk who think that, it's about a handout and giving unqualified people jobs that white unqualified folks should have. As it relates to this issue of race-based hair discrimination, however, this movement has overwhelmingly been sponsored, meaning legislatively in the respective legislatures, state legislatures, by Black women. This issue disproportionately impacts Black women, but not exclusively. We know that we are inextricably linked as a community. What impacts Black men impacts Black women and children. As I shared today, too many Black children have missed school, have been suspended, not having access to what's supposed to be valuable instruction and what we call FAPE, a free and appropriate public education, because when they rock their hair in ways that are aligned with their racial identity, too frequently, it has been deemed a violation of school rules. I think about the work that I've done at the local, state, and federal levels, because that is the strategy, local, state, and federal. I'm thinking about a Darryl George in Texas, who I call my nephew's son, who was suspended, isolated, treated as a criminal for an academic year for rocking locks. In the same school district where DeAndre Arnold, who's thriving, was told he could not participate in his graduation exercise because he wore locks, which, given his father's identity, was a great source of ethnic pride. I think about a young student wrestler in New Jersey who was forced to make a decision nobody should ever have to make, certainly no child. And that was to either have his locks cut on the spot no time to think, reflect, consider whether this is the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, have his locks cut on the spot by someone who has no regard for them, or to forfeit a match he had earned the right to participate in. I think about a Faith Finity who is now thriving at Howard University, who was sent home in tears because she wore what we call box braids, beautiful box braids, old school, that were deemed, again, a violation of school rules. This can't happen. We can't be okay with that. Add to that the fact that we know we have racial and gender pay disparities. Their gaps are real. The data are clear. And we have people being passed over for promotions, having offers of employment rescinded, being fired for rocking your hair naturally. Again, issue disproportionately impacts Black women. Undeniable correlation between the use of chemical relaxers for uterine cancer. So as I shared today, the cost of conformity to these Eurocentric standards of beauty and these myopic sort of notions of professionalism is too high. And it's not something that I, nor many, are willing to pay because these purported race-neutral grooming standards are problematic and they perpetuate the racial inequity and exclusion. So back to your point. The issue of protecting people's civil rights should not be reserved for one political party or, full acknowledgement, race is a social construct, but it shouldn't be just the responsibility of Black people. Every lawmaker who takes an oath to honor the code in their respective states to serve are responsible. Each one is responsible for protecting people's civil rights. And so this movement, again, because it disproportionately impacts us, Black women have overwhelmingly championed it. But it is worth noting that when I got to choose who I wanted to champion this effort in the Senate, because of my relationships, and I call them both my brothers, it was two Black men who I chose. My dear friend, Senator Cory Booker, my dear friend, now former Congressman Cedric Richmond. I have to acknowledge Senator Vincent Hughes today, who championed this effort in the Pennsylvania Senate. Obviously, the two sisters, Representative Mays and Madam Speaker McClinton in the House. But this is about a community, people-powered movement that has enjoyed bipartisan support, and I am proud to lead it. And I will continue to do so, again, until the Crown Act is the law of the land and established as law federally.
I mean, look, as a Black man with a beard, I recognize that this Crown Act is also about us.
Absolutely.
About us. I remember being in journalism school at USC a long time ago. And, the word was we could rock a mustache on camera, but we couldn't rock a beard. And so fast forward some 20 plus years later, that's changed, but it didn't change by itself. It changed because the culture started to change.
And the people make it.
Because of legislation like this, right? That also helps to change the culture, right? Helps change hearts and minds. Dr. Adjua, in our remaining minutes, you mentioned U.S. Representative Latasha D. Mays. She's a West Philadelphia
state rep.
Yeah, she's a West Philadelphia native who now represents parts of Pittsburgh. She was the lead sponsor on the bill and said the fight will help improve lives across Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
She said, quotes, hair discrimination has taken confidence from our children, but that ends today. She went on to say that hair discrimination has taken dignity from workers, but that ends today. It has taken access to economic opportunities, hopes, and dreams, but that begins to end today. What is your hope in our remaining minutes? What is your hope for generations that are coming up, for generations yet born? What is your hope in terms of the lasting impact of what Governor Josh Shapiro made possible today?
that we collectively continue to love and lift the African aesthetic, that we love ourselves, and that we reject forms of hate, and that we have unlearn what we've learned about our hair, and to be patient with it and to love it in all of its forms. Colonialism did a number on us. Enslavement did a number on us in terms of our views of ourselves. There is no dispute that there is economic, physical, and psychological harm associated with race-based hair discrimination. And my hope is that we collectively continue to work to completely eradicate this form of prevalent, yet for some less known form of racial discrimination. It has no place in a society that claims to be for all, but we know that sometimes we have had to push that pendulum. It doesn't just swing, and we've always had to fight to ensure that this country lives up to this promise of liberty and justice for all. And so I will continue to do the work to ensure it makes good on that promise.
Our thanks to Crown Act champion Dr. Adjoa B. Asamoah on this most momentous day where Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has signed the Crown Act.
Yes, he has.
If it is possible in Pennsylvania, it is possible anywhere, particularly in a time such as this. Dr. Adjoa, you'll have to come back and join us again soon.
I would love to. And shout out to Governor Shapiro for signing this in short order.
Governor Shapiro, who has been a guest on this show, along with Malcolm Kenyatta. He's been a guest.
I talked to Brother Malcolm today.
I'm just saying, we're Pennsylvania strong here on More Perfect Union, and we're glad that you are now in the number. You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
In a city as big as LA, healthcare shouldn't feel far away. That's why Cedars-Sinai is breaking down barriers and bringing resources like free screenings, vaccinations, and wellness programs into local communities. From Leimert Park to Lincoln Heights and everywhere in between, Cedars-Sinai is showing up, partnering with over 200 local organizations to improve access to healthcare resources. Because care doesn't just happen inside a hospital. It happens in neighborhoods and places around the city where we live, work, and grow. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA. Head to the Skirball Cultural Center for a thought-provoking contemporary art exhibition, Draw Them In, Paint Them Out. Trenton Doyle Hancock confronts Philip Guston. Explore resonant connections between the work of American Jewish painter Philip Guston and the work of Trenton Doyle Hancock, a leading Black American contemporary artist, in dialogue for the first time. While engaging with the artwork, consider the role that artists play in the pursuit of social justice. Plan your visit at skirball.org.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Black voices, they matter here, and we've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Look, it's time for the quiet part out loud, and I want to talk a little bit about what you might be doing during your quiet time, during your down time, during your sleepy time. We're all getting a little bit older, and sometimes, our sleeping patterns change a little bit. And sometimes we can be our worst enemy when it comes to getting good rest. That's why this headline really caught my attention. I have a feeling that it's about to catch yours. If you sleep in this one position, doctors say you need to stop it. Stop it immediately. It's the same every morning. You might wake up and feel that tingling creeping into your fingers and your shoulders. You may stretch out your arms and roll your shoulders until you feel that feeling comes back. But you get up, you shake it off, probably nothing. That's what you tell yourself. But, you say, maybe I just sort of slept weird. Well, maybe not. Maybe the way you sleep might be the real problem. The Huffington Post is reporting that many people don't even realize that it's happening. They fall asleep with their arms relaxed, but by 3 a.m., they've curled in tight, sleeping with arms bent, curled close to your chest, and it's been dubbed the T-Rex position on social media. And while doctors don't call it that, they do warn that doing it night after night after night after night, it can turn those temporary pins and needles that you might feel, otherwise known as that tingly feeling, into lasting nerve damage. According to Dr. Matthew Bennett, who's a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, some people also develop similar nerve irritation at the wrist, which, sometimes feels like carpal tunnel syndrome. And so if you keep your elbows bent all night, it builds pressure where nerves pass through narrow spaces. And it turns out it's surprisingly common, and it can steadily get worse over time. When I read this article, I thought, oh, wow, sometimes I experience those symptoms. Oh, wow, sometimes, I sleep kind of crazy like that. And I didn't know it was a thing. So apparently it's a thing. Kieran Sheridan, who's a physiotherapist and founder of Gulf Physio, sees complaints regularly in his practice. Patients often describe a, quote, dead arm feeling or needing to shake out their hands in the morning. This is your body telling you that your nervous system isn't happy. And so Some of the warning signs include shooting pain down your arm, trouble gripping things, or even dropping your phone more often. Don't mistake these for annoying symptoms or clumsiness. It's your body. It's your body telling you the damage is getting worse. And so, Dr. Bennett said, anyone who notices these symptoms becoming more frequent should get checked. Most cases are manageable and respond well to early conservative treatment. Skip treatment, and that's when the trouble starts. All right. And so if you're wondering, well, why your body locks into this position at night, because I certainly wondered that. Curling up, it feels comforting. It's instinctive, like pulling a blanket tighter when you're cold. However, there's usually more behind it. Apparently, the body slips into self-protection even when there's no threat. And when the nervous system is on high alert from chronic pain, from stress, from poor sleep or trauma, a lot of these experts say that we may subconsciously adopt postures that feel safer and less exposed. And so apparently we automatically search for safety during our sleep. And for some people, that search runs deeper than others. And so I found this article to be absolutely fascinating as somebody that's a good sleeper, but has a tendency to find myself in that T-Rex position from time to time. I definitely get that tingly feeling that feels like, early onset carpal tunnel. But reading this article, it's not that, right? And I particularly feel it when I'm flying also. And so, look, we here at A More Perfect Union, we here at KBLA, we believe in good health, fighting for good health, practicing good health from the neck up and neck down. And so this is just another reminder that it's on all of us to do that for ourselves and our loved ones. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce A More Perfect Union. My thanks to our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, to our sound engineer, Brother Andy, to our show producers, Faraji, Art, and Journey, and to each and every one of you, our leaders, learners, and listeners. We curate the show every day just for you. And while we're almost at Thanksgiving Eve, I'm wishing you a happy Thanksgiving week. Always a good day to remind you, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is rolling back fuel economy standards set by the Biden and Obama administrations.
Biden's burdensome regulations help cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%.
From the Oval Office, he announced lower requirements for cars and trucks, arguing the previous rules would raise vehicle prices and push electronic vehicles. Black Maryland Governor